we are going to get a Unity project set up for VR and deployed onto our quests. And I'm going to just do it from scratch in this video so you can see all of the different steps that you have to go through. To begin, this isn't the entire video of everything you need to do. I already have my quest set up and ready to go. So I'm charged. I've done a system update. I have charged my batteries. I am sort of ready to go in VR. It's up and ready. And what's more is I have switched it into developer mode. You need to do that from your Oculus device. You go into its developer mode settings and you have a little checkbox there, but you're not going to see that at first. Instead, what you're going to see is, what you need to do is you need to become a developer with your Meta Quest account. So if you go to developer.oculus.com and just go from there and look at my other video that's now a little bit out of date because that was before the Oculus Meta account, Facebook account requirements things. But it should be more or less the same. Create a new organization. You can use your own name for the organization. But once you're a developer on your account, then you will see in your Meta Quest app the ability to turn on developer mode for the connected Quest. So the Quest needs to be in developer mode. And this is an Android thing. This is the same for Android phone development. Not the account part, just the developer mode toggle. So it allows the computer to see this device over USB and send packages and files to it. And it allows this Quest to run packages that are not verified as secure and our test and demo projects. So I mentioned that this is an Android device. The first step that we're going to need to do for our setup for our project is actually add Android build support, add the ability to deploy to an Android device from our Unity project. So let's say I'm in 2021.3.8 F1. Just pick a 2021.3 LTS, whatever. I'm not about to install another editor version on my computer right now. I'm going to go with 0.8, but it's fine. As long as we're at 2021.3 or 0.2 or later. So let's grab you probably only have one version of Unity installed on your computer. Let's go to the settings and click add modules. Here I'm under installs, settings, add modules. I don't want to install VS Code right now. What I do want to install is Android build support, and that includes OpenJDK and the Android SDK and the NDK. And we can have a little trivia game where we learn what those acronyms mean. All right, that took a few minutes, but now it's installed and I can create a new project. If you already created a project, you can install these build modules later and you can switch later. The order here isn't actually critical. So we're going to make a new project. I'm going to make sure I'm using the editor version that I just added the Android build support for. And instead of 3D, I'm going to choose 3D URP, Universal Render Pipeline, URP, not HDRP. That's not going to perform very well on this Android device. We want the Universal Render Pipeline. I'm going to give this a good name. Ultimate XR Test. I'm going to call it Test. Test is my way of looking at my Unity projects later and knowing which ones I can delete. So you probably don't want to use the word test, or maybe you do, but 3D Ultimate XR Test, URP. All right, we have the project launched now, and we can take a look. We are in the URP empty template. We have a little bit of fog, kind of, or I guess vignetting it looks like, in our little demo empty scene. Excellent, ready to go. Not yet. There are a few things we need to do before we even get into using the Ultimate XR. So what we're going to do is we're going to download this package, the .unity package here, and you can get that straight on the ultimatexr.io homepage. Just hit download, it'll download that. Ultimate XR is a framework for doing VR development. So it's basically just a bunch of tools and scripts and components that make our lives easier. Most notably, hands and interacting with things. I don't want to program interaction from scratch every time I do a VR project. I want to just use a framework that's got some locomotion and got some grabby stuff and go from there. So we can download that. We like Ultimate XR. It's free. It's open source. It is continually being updated. 3 days ago was the latest release as the time of recording. I'd love to see that. There are other frameworks. So Oculus has their own. There's the Unity XR Interaction Toolkit, which is fine. It's pretty good. But I've been enjoying Ultimate XR, and if we all use the same one, that'll make all of our lives easier. Before we add that package to the project, there's one thing that we really want to do. We want to go to File, Build Settings, and we want to check that we can switch our target to Android. So I'm going to hit Switch, but I'm going to go to the File, Build Settings, go to Android. I'm going to leave all this default and just click Switch Platform. This is going to re-import every asset in my project. When I import an asset, it sort of converts it behind the scenes into a file format that it's going to use. So images will be, PNGs or JPEGs. Sound files could be MP3s or OGGs or who knows. And lots of more technical nitty-gritty details, So I want to switch to Android. Here we go. I want to do that pretty early on in the process so that when I import the Ultimate XR package and it imports all of these assets, when I click Switch Platform, that progress bar that I just talked over, that goes on for, a minute and not 8 minutes. You can definitely do that in a different order. The order doesn't matter. I'm just telling you this to save you some time spent with your computer fans spinning at full speed and your hard disk bottlenecking your file imports. Okay. So we've switched to the Android build target. I can go to Assets, Import Package, Custom Package, and I can find that .unity package, Ultimate XR version whatever, .unity package that I want to use. And this import process could take some time. It's sort of a zip file that has to get decompressed, then all the actual files have to get copied into the project and then converted into Unity's database system. It's a whole thing. Before we import any package, I always like to sort of poke around and just see what actually is getting imported. If it's a package that I've used a whole bunch, maybe I don't import as much of the documentation, or very often I'll uncheck examples and I won't import all of these, example, like, do I really need these materials and all this stuff? Like, maybe not, maybe. Are they URP ready? Yeah, we're about to find out. But in this case, we're just going to import everything. And this process is going to import everything. If we switch to Android, it'll have to import everything again. So this will take some time. Another thing worth paying attention to is whenever your computer is like stuck on a process or it's taking forever or something seems like it's crashing, go ahead and open up your task manager, Control-Shift-Escape, and then go to your Performance tab and just see what the bottleneck is. In this case, it's my CPU, which is a pretty powerful CPU. So it's not, there's no quick cheap upgrade that's gonna make this go faster. But just being aware of and paying attention to what is happening and what your computers are doing, it allows us to make smarter upgrades in the future. All right, 5 or 6 minutes later, and the package has been imported. Time to download and import some more things to the Unity project. Let's head up to Window, Package Manager. This is where we can add new features to the Unity editor. I believe we've explored or seen this elsewhere in our timeline, but Window, Package Manager, and we're going to head down to the Unity registry. A little drop down on the top here, and we're going to add the XR plugin management package. Now, as we look through this registry here, you may notice that there's something like OpenXR and Oculus XR and some other, like, you're like, ooh, let's add those. That's obviously what I need. Well, managing all the different plugins of like which things we need to deploy to what device is kind of a pain in the butt. So we are going to use the XR plugin management package. Just going to install that, which is going to do a lot of that management for us, which is great. Now, with XR plugin management, we can go down to our project settings, and we have a new setting now down here at the bottom, XR plugin management. We did not have that before. And here we want to turn on support for any of the devices that we want to target. So we have 3 tabs. We have desktop, we have a dedicated server, and we have Android. So in the Android tab, we want to hit the Oculus checkbox. And checking that is importing and adding more scripts and more packages to our project and sort of managing the dependencies of that for us. With Oculus selected, now we have the option to look at these settings here. We're not going to mess with anything, but there are some things to take note of, like if we're supporting If we don't want to try to support Quest, only Quest 2. The only other thing to pay attention to is if we want to add Oculus support for desktop in addition to Android. I'm going to go ahead and check that. That's going to allow me to use Oculus Link and do run in play mode onto my headset over a cable, which I will deal with later, not in the scope of this video, but I'll check that checkbox now anyway. So Oculus is added. Are we done yet? Are we done adding all of our packages yet? No, not quite, not quite. If we look at the Oculus Ultimate XR documentation and the Getting Started guide, one, it walks you through all of these steps so far, including adding these platforms. But it also recommends installing the the Oculus SDK for it to piggyback on top of. The Oculus integration is a framework that that Oculus actually puts out that has avatars and hands and things like that. But it also has support for some of the Oculus specific features like hand tracking and pass through and some other fun, fancy stuff that the other frameworks don't have. So we are going to set it up, but we're going to set it up using the Ultimate XR SDK Manager, which is the way that they recommend doing it in these documents. So if we go to Tools, Ultimate XR, SDKs, where am I? Where's that? SDK Manager, there it is. It's taking a look at these different other platforms. Did you know that VR development is kind of a pain? So let's get the Oculus SDK. To the asset store. Add to my assets. I already have it. I'm just not logged in. To the package manager again. To my assets. This time instead of the Unity registry, just my assets. And we'll search Oculus integration. And I'll download the latest versions and import. And import that. Yes. A newer OVR plugin is available. Current version is unknown. Don't want to enable it. I guess I don't depend on these features. Okay. I feel like I don't need to restart the editor right now. I will because the pop-up's going to tell me to, but I really don't think this is necessary. I hate this integration, actually, just these pop-ups. What are you doing? What are you doing? Sure, clean up the assets, upgrade the spatializer, Do I still need to restart the editor? All right. I really don't like the way they've done the configuration setup. Most packages that do that give you a little window and it's like, here are the steps that you need to complete. And I'm like, oh, when you do this, you'll need to restart. Oculus is just like pop up, pop up, pop up. Okay, we're back. We got it all ready to go. We're ready to set up. Out of curiosity, we have a quote unquote empty package. Where are we on our 4.3 gigs. Nice. Love XR development. Okay, let's go to our Ultimate XR examples folder and let's play with, let's just load up one of the example scenes onto our Quest. So I'm going to go to my full scene example, and where are you? Hello. There we go. Nice. So we're just going to try to deploy this whole scene to our headset. We'll poke around and see what it's given us later. Next, let's go to the build settings, file build settings. Let's uncheck sample scene. That was that empty scene from Unity. And let's add open scene. That's going to be the scene that this project uses. And I'll drag that up to the top. So it'll be the first scene that loads. First scene that's checked will be the first one included in the build. Then I'm going to go to Android. Well, I'm on Android. I should be on Android. If we're not on Android, switch now and go get some coffee. And I want to deploy it to my Quest, but I don't I don't see my Quest here. Well, I haven't plugged it in yet. So we can make sure it's turned on and ready. When we're in developer mode, plug it in. I'm gonna get a pop-up on my Quest asking me to enable USB debugging. I believe I have, already done that and chose remember on this device. So I just got 2 pop-ups. One was files, which makes me think I'm not in developer mode. Oh, I am. So I said allow for files. And then the second pop-up was enable Oculus Link, and I said not now. We'll worry about Oculus Link later. But once we've done that, then we should see it pop up as an option here. If I go to run device, refresh, you can see Oculus Quest 2. If you don't see that, it's probably that you're either not in developer mode or that we didn't allow USB debugging on the headset. We're so close. We're so close. Luckily, we have a nice little warning telling me that what my issue is. In order to build a player, go to player settings to resolve the incompatibility between color space and the current settings. Well, I can do that. I can go to player settings and I can find the big warning sign that linear color space requires OpenGL ES 3.0, 3.0 or Vulkan. Remove OpenGL ES2 API from the list. And I can find it says deprecated next to it, and I can hit minus. I don't want to support OpenGL ES2, obviously. Now we should be ready to build. And I have one more progress bar for you. The first time you ever do an Android build, it usually takes like 20 minutes, like a really long time, but it's gonna cache, it's gonna save most of those settings. So every subsequent time will go much faster. Will only take, could take less than a minute. So I'm gonna click build. It's gonna ask me where I wanna save my .apk file, Android package file. We wanna save it in a folder called builds. And I'll call this test, Ultimate XR test. I'm just gonna try it again. We're in, or I'm in a black void, and it's loading. All right, I'm back in. Great. Teleportation. Look at that. Doors. Oh my God. Snap turning. Love that. All right, we did it. We got a project from Unity out onto our Quest. But there is one more thing that I want to go over in this video, and that is where to find it after the first time we run the headset or run the device. Right? When you first build and run, it like automatically launches on Quest. But assuming that it is up and running, or that you've closed it and quit it and it's no longer up and running, how do we actually get it onto the? How do we find it again? So I've closed it. I'm in my menu. I'm in my Oculus Home. Hello, Sunset. If I go to my app library and up to the top, I can find a new section that is here because I'm in developer mode. We used to have to restart the Quest to do this, so maybe you still do. I don't think you do anymore. But in unknown sources, you should see com.defaultcompany. Whatever you named your project. So I can see I have com.defaultcompany.ultimateXRTest, and I also have com.hdyer.ultimateXRTest. You'll notice that I have a lot of other things, a lot of default companies. Ooh, a lot of default companies. What's up with that? In Unity, where it showed up is in our player settings. So if we go to File, we go to Edit, Project Settings, then Player, or if we're in the Build settings and we just click this Player Settings button, it'll open it up. In here, product name, company name. This probably says default company. You probably don't want that. Probably want that to be your name for anything any APK that you submit. You're gonna want to change default company to not be default company. Because let's say you have default company.finalproject and somebody else is default company.finalproject. Oculus is gonna think those are the same project and it's just gonna like replace the old one, whichever one I add second is gonna replace it. Okay, that's the last thing I wanted to show you. Good luck. Good luck with the progress bars.